Hey, what's up? It's Chris Martin. So you want to go from part-time real estate to full-time real estate. I'm about to show you how. So the first question is, do you really see yourself being a full-time real estate agent? I know it sounds like a dumb question, but it's true. Like, do you actually see yourself being a full-time real estate, doing the showings, going on listing appointments, most importantly, prospecting, looking for business, lead generating? Can you see yourself in a day-to-day real estate world of activities? And is that something that you would enjoy doing over a course of an extended period of time? You have to ask yourself this question to make sure that you can actually see yourself being a real estate agent. Another thing is you want to make sure that there's going to be no plan B. Like if you're doing this is speaking to all those people out there that are part-time and want to go full-time, and you'll do it by any means necessary. So we're going to go over a few helpful things that will help you do that. One of them is the mentality of there's no other option. You are going to do this regardless. No plan B. There might be a temporary plan B in the initial beginning part. We have to pay bills. We have to do all those things that we have to do as adults and live our lives and make sure that we're responsible. But basically, like diving in head first to the as much as you can. So it has to be sink or swim. And for all those people out there that know they want to be full-time, we're about to teach you how to swim. Another question you want to ask yourself, are you self-motivated? Being a real estate agent, we're independent contractors, and everybody wants to be a real estate agent because you control your own schedule, you make your own schedule, you have time to do this, time to do that. The reason why people want to be real estate agents is a lot of the times the same reason why they end up out of the business, because they have the time and they're not self-disciplined to be able to use that time to actually benefit themselves in their business. We're so used to working for other people and punching in and punching out, and we'll work for other people for 40 hours a week, but as soon as we're self-employed, we have trouble putting in that same amount of time in our own business. Why is that? Why, if we are working for ourselves, we won't put in the time for ourselves, but we'll put it in for other people? We have to start to think about that. You should be working just as hard or more for yourself and your business that you would for another company. So that's the first thing. Are you self-disciplined? Are you self-motivated? And if you're not, that's okay. If you can identify that, then you can work on ways to get better at it. One quick way to get better at that is being obsessive about time blocking. Time blocking is going to be crucial, especially if you're part-time and you want to go into full-time. So time blocking is the key to a lot of success in anything. And if you're going to be part-time and only have limited hours to put into real estate, then you need to make sure that you're doing everything that you can be doing with those limited hours that you have. So making sure that you time block, and whatever that is, everyone's schedule is a little different. You could do a lot of damage in real estate with a couple hours a day. If you're doing money-making activities, which we'll talk about. What are money-making activities? Money-making activities are, it's not, going through social media and your IG and Snapchat and all that stuff. It's actually prospecting, lead generating leads in your business, talking to buyers that eventually want to buy, talk to sellers who eventually want to sell, and even beyond that, just talking to people in general and making sure that you're going to be top of mind when they think about real estate, some way, somehow. So those are the lead generating activities, prospecting, money-making activities that you want to be time blocking for. It's not doing the paperwork, all that stuff will figure itself out. We're talking about if you only have a couple hours a day, the money-making activities that you need to be doing. So we have a time block for that. Look at your schedule. What are 2 to 3 hours a day? Even if you work a full-time schedule, you probably have 2 or 3 hours a day that you can dedicate towards real estate. We want to identify that time block and block it and make sure that nothing is distracting us from putting in those money-making activities during that time block. All right, so here's the part that some of you guys will not like. And again, if you're looking to go from part-time to full-time, these are things that are going to be real. They're going to be real life things that you're going to have to make sacrifices on. So it's about making sacrifices if you're going from part-time to full-time. And what sacrifices am I talking about? I'm talking about looking at your living expenses on a monthly basis and making sure that we make those sacrifices to set ourselves up to basically have the minimalist amount of expense on a month-to-month basis. And this can be temporary, of course, but if we're looking to go jump into real estate full time, commission, it's 100% commission based. So if we're not selling houses, we're not making any money. You want to have as little responsibility as possible. So that means shaving down some of those unnecessary expenses. So we have to take a look at our expenses as a whole. We have to reduce our monthly overhead. So here are some things that you could look at to really start to shave those costs, to set yourself up to have as little overhead as possible. So you can make that leap into real estate and not worry about your monthly overhead. Your living situation is going to be the first one. What's your current living situation? Sometimes we can control this, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we already own a house, we have a mortgage that we're responsible for, and it is what it is. That's set in stone. Other times you might have a roommate situation, you might be able to live at home in your parents' basement and minimize your costs. Maybe you don't have a roommate situation, but you can get a roommate situation because you have an extra room that you can rent out to alleviate some of the cost. These are the things that I'm talking about doing to set yourself up to reduce your monthly overhead so you can make a leap into real estate and focus all of your time into that so you can make more money in doing what you love. Your car and transportation. That's one of the other big ticket items that you have on a monthly situation. So a monthly basis, what is your car situation, your transportation look like? A lot of people are slaves to their transportation. You have a car that $500-600 payment, $400 payment, whatever your car payment is, it's crippling you. It's holding you to the job that you're at now. You want to go from part-time to full-time in real estate, but you can't do it because you're working for the car that you're driving. You have to start to look at that and say, is it worth having this car right now? Can you get a reliable quality car for a lot less of a price and still be able to do what you need to do? So look at that car situation. Is it something that you can dramatically reduce? This is not all about shaving cost in one area. It's about looking at all of your expenses, taking a little bit from here and there. That way, at the end of the month, you're like, wow, I just saved $1,500 by shaving a little bit from here, a little bit from there. And that's $1,500 that you don't have to make at your current employer. So if you want to abandon that employer, give your deuces and say, I'm out, you're going to get closer to that point of doing it. Your food, you're eating out. This is another big expense other than your living situation and your transportation, your food, and what that looks like on a monthly basis. We really want to start to pay attention to that. Cable and subscriptions. We have these cable, a lot of people cut the cord and they're not Comcast or Verizon anymore, but you picked up 102 streaming services and it just equaled out or went beyond what you were paying for cable anyway. So start to look at the streaming services you're using. Cable, if you're not using cable, maybe you take on a streaming service and see if you can shave some costs that way. Your cell phone, can you switch providers? Can you switch providers and actually be locked into a set fee to dramatically reduce your monthly cell phone? I know when I switch providers, I instantly save $50 on a monthly payment. I know it may not sound like a lot, but that's $50 extra to add into this, $50 less that I had to come up with a month. Gym memberships and unused memberships. If you're going to the gym, great, you need to do that. You need to keep your health number one, right? But if you have a gym membership and you haven't gone in 6 months, why the hell do you have a gym membership for? You can work out at home, do some push-ups, you watch a YouTube video, something like that, go in your basement, use some resistance bands, whatever it's gonna take to keep your health. If you don't have a gym membership and you want one, get one. I'm not telling you not to get one. I'm just saying if you have one, use it. If you have one and you're not using it, get rid of it. You're wasting your money. So just take a close look at that. All right, the next thing to do if you're looking to go from part-time real estate to full-time real estate, you need to know what your number is. So after you look at all your monthly expenses, you need to add that number up. After you can kind of cut the costs and shave areas, find out what that number is. And whatever that number is, that needs to be the number that you have in front of you. And then you basically just need to times that by however many months that you're comfortable with. Let's just say it's 6 months. So if the number is $4,000, 4 times 6, that's your number. That is your number that you would have to save in order to take a full-fledged leap into real estate and leave your other job behind. So how long is that going to take you to get to that number? Well, in real estate, you could do easy math. How much will you make off selling a property? You'll know how many properties you need to sell in order to reach that number. It may be only a handful of properties. I'm in the Northeast, I'm in Massachusetts, so selling a house, average commission is right around $10,000. You can easily get, and when I say easy, I'm saying that kind of all relative, of course, but it's not going to be like oh, I have to sell 20 houses to get to my goal. Maybe you do, but for most people, it's not going to be that crazy. You only will have to sell a handful of houses. Now, how long is it going to take you to sell those houses? That's another video where we could talk about prospecting and lead generating, but that's the number you need to focus on. Once I sell this many houses and save this much amount of money, I'm leaving this job, jumping into real estate full time. By that time, by the way, you would have gotten the ball rolling. You would have already have sold X amount of properties. Your pipeline is already starting to build. So when you make that leap, you're just going to add more time, more fuel into that already fire, that fire that's already blazing. So hopefully it just turns into a huge business and you'll make that much more money. The deals will be coming that much more quicker. And in real estate, the biggest challenge is getting that first commission check. After that first commission check, those commission checks should come sooner because you've already put the work into getting there. You started the snowball. The snowball's already starting to form. So you should start to get commission checks sooner and shave those gaps, cut those gaps so they're not as big in between commission check to commission check. Another thing you want to make sure that you keep your eyes on is actually keeping your foot on the gas. You do not want to let your foot off the gas. This is a mistake that a lot of agents make, is by taking their foot off the gas. They have a transaction that they just closed, they're celebrating, and they're like, yeah, I got this transaction. Or maybe a transaction that they just put under agreement, and they're spending all their time and energy on this one transaction. They're forgetting to put the time into the money-making activities we talked about, the prospect and the lead generating. And before you know it, they close on that deal and they're already out of business because there's no more business to be had. And real estate's a funny industry. Once you close on a property and you don't have anything else going on, technically, you're out of business. So you want to make sure that you constantly have business, and by doing that, or a way to do that, is making sure your foot is on the gas pedal all of the time. You need to wake up every day as if you have zero in the bank, wake up every day like you have zero leads, zero listings, zero buyers interested, zero this, zero that. For a lot of you guys, that's a reality, but for those that it's not, you need to really believe that you have zero so you can act and perform like your back's up against the wall. Because for a lot of us, that's where we perform best. When you're operating at zero and you have that desperation, in a respectful way, you're gonna be working more hours. You're gonna be making sure that the hours that you have to work, you're doing the right things within those hours, okay? So make sure that your foot is constantly on the gas pedal, that you're operating as if you have zero, even if you have a lot going on, because once that stuff dries up, you want to make sure that you still can keep that going. And that's the crazy thing about real estate. A transaction life cycle is about 45 days. So if you wasted 45 days of being fully involved in that deal without prospecting, without lead generating, you wasted 45 days. And you're going to have to start your prospecting and your building of your pipeline all over. You're going to have this huge gap in your business. And that's what a lot of people struggle with, is making their business more consistent. So once you make that leap from part-time into full-time, or at any point in your career, you really want to make sure that your foot remains on the gas pedal, and the gas pedal is down to the floor, and you continue to do those money-making activities that we talked about. All right, so I hope this video helped you guys. If you're part-time looking to go full-time into real estate, find out what your expenses are, find out what that monthly number is, and find out how many homes you need to sell in order to hit that number. The best point of going from part-time to full-time in real estate is when you close that deal and you hit that number and you know that you're secure. And that number, by the way, is all relative. We talked about 6 months. It doesn't have to be 6 months. It could be 3 months. The less responsibilities you have, which is why it's so important to shave down your monthly expenses, the less responsibilities you have, it should take you fewer transactions to hit that goal. Your number should be smaller. We want to be able to hit that goal as soon as possible. We don't want to have a huge sum of money that we have to save up for in order to go from part-time to full-time in real estate. So work on those expenses. Start to think about what's important for you. Is it important for you to drive that car you're driving right now and work your job that you're working for to pay for that car? Or is it more important for you to get rid of that car, lower your monthly expenses, get into a job that you love, and eventually make more money doing what you like doing? You have to start to think about those things. It's real life stuff, and if you're If you think that you want to do it, this is where that breaking point comes. This is where that crossroads come. Is it something that you really want to do, or is it something that you say you really want to do? So if you really want to do it, you should be willing to make those sacrifices. All right, so hopefully this video helped you guys. Definitely hit the subscribe button, like it, hit the notification bell. If you guys, if this worked for you, or if you wanted to hear anything else, just drop it in the comment section below. I'll keep an eye out for it. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.